And again, if you just joined us today, this is our product roadmap webinar for Oracle Analytics Cloud and Server for April 2025. Today, we're going to give you the latest and greatest updates for the product. We're going to show you some demos. And first, let's get started. I'll show you where you can find the product roadmaps as well, so you can stay up to date as they are released. At any time during this, if you have any questions for our speakers, our presenters, whether it's about their presentation or their demo or anything that you see on the roadmap, you can drop your question in the Q&A portion and we will answer it either as we're going or live at the end. We'll save a few minutes to address that. Everything that we are presenting and showing today is under our safe harbor statement. And for our agenda, as I mentioned, I'm going to show you where you can find the product roadmaps easily. And we'll talk about the Idea Lab so you can get some of your product feature requests added to the roadmap. And then we'll take a look at the actual roadmap and we'll let you know the updates and some of the demos that are on there. So first, let's talk about the Oracle Analytics community. This is the place where you can find the product roadmaps. You can download them. I'm Alex Toothman, Senior Product Manager. And first, if you didn't find this webinar on the Oracle Analytics community, maybe you found it on the Oracle Analytics LinkedIn page, I will invite you to join our community. It's free. It just has incredible amount of resources. You can ask your questions, get your answers quickly, directly from peers, experts, product managers at Oracle, engineers. You can access free training, webinars and events like this one and many others, also in-person events. You can submit your ideas. Ben is going to talk about that. You can engage with user groups. You can send in your data visualizations if you've created any. And of course, the product roadmap, which I'm going to show you where you can find it. So the product roadmap, if you go to the top under resources, I'm going to submit the links in the chat so you can access them a little easier. The product roadmaps are updated quarterly for both Oracle Analytics Cloud and Fusion Data Intelligence. You can download them directly. You can find the links to the webinars, which we are going to be holding quarterly. So each time we release the roadmap, we'll have a webinar to go along and walk you through the roadmap and show you some of the features that are coming out with them. Next, I'm going to pass it over to Benjamin Arnoff, Senior Director of Product Strategy.
Perfect. Hi, everyone. So it's good to see everyone. I saw in the chat we have Biyin from Malaysia, and it's very late in Malaysia. So thanks for joining. I saw also Elizabeth from South Korea. Thanks for joining. And everybody from India also, thanks. And of course, I'm French. So thanks for Cyril and Benoit, I think, from France to join. Okay, let's move on. I'm going to do a quick demo of what is the ID Lab because um, this is a product roadmap webinar, and a lot of you want to know how a product roadmap is done. How do we get a feature inside a product roadmap? So the good news is that obviously all the product managers are working to look at different things like what is missing in the product, if there is new AI innovation or any type of innovation, they will see how they can bring that inside the product. But one thing which is very important is the voice of the customer. So basically your voice. So we have a lot of call with certain people here in the audience with our top customer. But one thing you can go, it's go to the Oracle Analytics community, click on ID, and basically we have an ID lab for each product, Analytics Cloud, Server, Fusion Data Intelligence, or TBI. So you could go, for example, to Oracle Analytics Cloud. You can see all the different IDs that have been submitted. There is one submitted by Aravani. You have one submitted by this new user, which is from the tax and fiscal in Canada. You can sort the IDs by top IDs, for example, here. And automatically you will see some top IDs, for example, ability to share a data flow with other users. This ID received 72 votes. When an ID receives a lot of votes, then a product manager is looking at the ID and say, okay, there is a lot of people that want this specific feature or capability inside the product. We are going to implement it if it's relevant. For example, that one, new admin tool version, I will go to the first page. You will see that this ID has a status need vote, which means we start to review this ID. We see that it's a good use case, that the feature could be very, very good. It's sent by HSBC. At any time, we can look at the log and see exactly who voted for it, if it's like Oracle employee or other customers. And then when we see 76 votes, usually we start to look a little bit deeper. So if your ID is in the top 20, it's a big probability that we are going to review it and possibly implement it. Now, some IDs like this one, connectivity to Databricks, this ID was requested by Zebra customer and got only 8 different votes. But this ID has been very, very strategic for us. It was a connector that has been requested by also top customer on the side during our meeting. It's something also people have been requested. So it's why we implemented, even if it has only 8 votes. So sometime an ID will need to have 50 votes or more to get implemented. Sometime it's strategic and we will implement it before. So I'm going to stop. Oh, one last thing. If you click new ID here, so you will put the name of your ID. Try to be very descriptive into the name, not just like 1 or 2 words, because anybody can find it on Google. Okay, so it's very important, and then they can vote for it. Then in the new ID description, explain why you want new ID. If you want, for example, a Gen AI ID, generative AI, to describe a data visualization for you, explain why. Say, we are producing a finance report every month for my CFO, and we would like Gen AI to describe it automatically. So more you explain, better it is. Okay, so I'm going to stop to share. Um, Alex, you can go back to the slide, and then the next one. Thank you. So last thing on my side, just to let you know, this fiscal year, so which is basically for Oracle, we had 644 IDs submitted by you. So thank you very much for that. Some of them were for analysis and data visualization, some of them for FDI, Fusion Data Intelligence, a lot for data connectivity administration. So some of them that we review, we plan them, and we deliver them. So you see there is a good ratio on what has been submitted, what has been planned or delivered for the year. We will continue to share this type of stats with you. Obviously, it's not only this feature that we deliver every year. We deliver more than 200 features because we have some backlog, we have new strategic feature, but it gives you an idea. When you put an ID, you have a good chance that it's going to be delivered. So again, thank you for contributing to the roadmap. With your help, it's very, very precious. Back to you, Alex.
Thanks, Ben. Yes, please go in and submit your ideas, vote up other ideas. And now let's take a look at our product roadmap updates. We have the product management team here today with us. We have Avinash Krishnaram, Director of Product Management, Jack Vijant, Vice President of Product Management, Philippe Lyons, Vice President of Product Management, and Brett Grinslid, Vice President of Product Management. So we have a phenomenal team here today. They're going to take you through the product roadmap. They're going to show you some updates, some demos. And Avinash, I'm going to pass it over to you to get started.
Thank you, Alex. I can share my screen, please. Okay. Alex, you can see my screen, right?
Yes.
All right. Hey, everyone. Thanks for joining. I'm Avinash Krishnaram. I'm part of the OEC product management team. I'll do a brief overview of the product roadmap update. So we update the product roadmap every quarter. that Alex was showing in community. So I'll provide a brief update of the current, upcoming, and maybe a quick peek at the future functionalities that is planned for OAC as a product, and then a few demos. And my colleagues will also provide some demos for the respective feature areas. So let me start. This is our roadmap snapshot from the community posting, right? So I won't spend much time on the current section. These are features that we've delivered in the last 6 to 8 releases. I just want to draw your attention to some of the critical functionalities that we've added to the product in terms of shareable assets like themes and layouts. Personalization is expanded to the notion of a user being able to create multiple states for a given workbook. We have done tremendous improvements to our map visualization, and there's a lot more planned. Philippe will provide a brief walkthrough of some of the features that is currently upcoming and planned as well. And more importantly, the workbook schedule has also gotten into a very good shape. So users can now schedule workbooks, and with the May update, you can also include system variables, as part of your workbook scheduling. New visualizations are things that we always continue to strive and improve and add it to the product. So gauge charts is a recent one that we've added in March 25, and then there's new variants of gauge coming in May 25. There's a lot of database enhancements that we continue to do. Things like reference lines enhancements, tooltip editor enhancements, and stuff like that. On the AI world, it's gaining a lot of traction, a lot of good feedback that we've been receiving from customers. So the AI assistant will generally be available for all shapes and size starting May 25. Jock will provide a brief update on that. You can now bring your own large language models. We support OpenAI for the moment. Contextual Insights is another AI-based experience for consumers, where as a consumer user, I can select a mark in my database and ask the product to explain data, right? And then the product is going to apply a bunch of algorithms behind the scenes and produce up to 3 insights that you can add it to your watch list, and do some further analysis as a consumer user. And then on the data platform side, there's a lot of things happening. More importantly, we are doing a lot of enhancements on dataset diagrams, which you might have noticed in the product already. And there's also a new data flow diagram experience that is extremely nice. It's also added to the product, new connectors. Ben was showing about the Databricks connector, which is something that we're working on. And then OAS 25 happened in March 2025, right? That's our annual release for our on-premise customers. And all of the features that we have worked from Jan 2024 up until Jan 2025 is added, is basically upgraded to all of our OAS customers with March of this year. On the upcoming ones, selection steps is a critical feature for supporting filter operations on hierarchy columns. If you're an OBIE customer, you may be familiar with the selection steps in Classic. We are basically adding the same set of functionalities, but with a newer experience for workbooks. So it has been in preview since Jan of this year, and with the May update, it's generally available, and it's supported on all the filter scopes, dashboard filters, Wisp filters, top filter bar, and we're also working on non-analytical contents as part of the authoring experience. The few things that we will add to the product this year is navigation controls like buttons. So I'll provide a quick snapshot of what that might look like in the UI, and we'll save the demo when the feature is ready for release. Custom pages is a new experience for home pages for our users, right? So right now we have the general OAC home that all of the users land into. But custom pages allow a privileged user who has the right fine-grained permissions assigned to them to create a page. And the page can have content that is curated for a tailored set of audience. Like, for example, I can create a financial page and then secure that financial page to my financial users and also make it as a default landing page, right? So anytime they log into OAC, they log into the financial page, which has all of the curated assets organized in the form of custom rooms, watch lists, and other swim lists that we have on the homepage experience. Maps is, again, like I said, is going to go through a few more enhancements. Philippe will talk about dynamic lines. We increased Excel export, which was a big Idea Lab request. So we have increased from 25,000 to 100,000 based on OCPU limits. I'll flash a screenshot of the limits as we go through the demo. Gantt chart is coming up the second half of this year. It's a new visualization type, particularly aimed at project management schedules and anything around scheduling. Right, Gantt chart is the visualization that people want. The language narrative is going through sort of a big rework, if you like, both in terms of the underlying technology stack that we use behind the scenes. And as we improve the technology stack behind the scenes, we're also going to support multiple languages as part of this experience. So that will this plan for second half of this year. There'll be a new data action type called parameter data action that will allow authors to basically pass a selected mark value to a parameter. So when you're on a bar chart, you select a bar, right? You want to pass on the value of the selected bar to a parameter. And once the parameter has a value, right, then you can design that experience like in many different ways based on your use cases. There's a new mobile workbook layout option that we've added for our mobile app. So mobile is also going through tremendous enhancements. If you're not using mobile, highly recommend to download a mobile app from the App Store or the Play Store and go through the mobile experience and continue to share your feedback in the community. On the AI side, like I said, Assistant is going GA with May for subject areas, data sets. There'll be a lot of new AI experiences that you will see us adding to the product. One of many such experiences is the dataset description, which I hope Brett will talk about it. So that's essentially with a single click, right? You're basically asking the large language model behind the scenes to provide a meaningful description for your data set, right? So you could will expand the same use case for all other data sets in the product. And AI Assistant will also be available for consumer users and also in an embedding mode, right? I think consumer users will be the first primary focus for second half of this year. And as a consumer user, when I open a workbook, right, there'll be a launch point to bring the assistant and interact with the assistant in a natural language way. Extract mode for local subject areas is a new feature in May 25. Adding a new extract mode, changing from the live connection to a more cache-based connection, which I hope Brett is going to talk about it today. And then unified catalog, you see the catalog now with a new refresh, right? The tree-based structure, easy to move artifacts and organize artifacts, create folders. There's a lot of optimization that will come in the July 25 of this year. And one of the big improvements we're adding is for users to be able to manage data sets and data flows as catalog artifacts, right? Which is a huge improvement. So a few screenshots that I'll go through and maybe do a demo if there is time. Excel export limits has been increased based on OCPU limit. This went out in the product in March 2025. It's still up to 100,000, right? It's not matching the classic limits, but 100,000 is still a tremendous increase to what we had in the past of 25,000 rows. Gauge visualizations, the new flavors that we're adding in May 25 is the vertical and horizontal bar gauge types. Very simple experience. The type property allows you to toggle between the different type of gauges, and there is additional properties to control the length and thickness for horizontal and vertical bar variants. Selection steps is a critical feature, also a critical gap that we are closing between classic and workbooks. And this allows an author to apply sort of a UI-based script that will filter the members within a hierarchy column that you want to display in the UI. We'll maybe do a quick demo of selection steps. It's a very powerful feature. Reference line enhancements, we have expanded the scope of adding reference lines to derived dates, which is available in data sets, right? And also do attribute columns. So on my screen, you can see the bar chart on the left-hand side is product category, and reference lines can be drawn, parameterized, and the parameter can be exposed as a filter control for consumers to dynamically update the reference line when they open the workbook and interact with the filter controls. Here's a quick screenshot of custom pages. Experience, right? On the top left-hand side is a new icon that allows the user to launch the page switcher dialog. Now, this user has a few pages that's been shared with them, or they're the owner of the page, right? They can switch between these different pages, and each page is going to show a curated set of content. On the right-hand side of screenshots, that's basically explaining the concept of a page being a shareable asset, right? So you create a page, and then that experience, that landing page experience can be configured and secured to users and user groups as well, right? And then the administration screen allows the user to also define a landing page for certain group of users and also hide the native OEC homepage, right? Some customers have given us feedback that they don't want the native OEC homepage to be shown, but rather these custom pages where most of their content for these user groups is organized and given to them. Navigation controls on the top, you see buttons, and these are screenshots from our internal development environment. So working features. So buttons is a great feature for designing the whole workbook experience, right? So this is one of the first nav controls that we add to the product, and we'll follow up with other controls like menus and list, also breadcrumbs, which is highly requested ID Lab ask. Now, the important feature with buttons, in addition to being able to customize the look and feel of it, is to associate a data action to a button, right? Because buttons are essentially used for navigation purposes. The first property you see under the button called action allows you to pick and choose a specific data action from the list of data actions that you have defined for your workbook and associate to it. So in my example, I have a bunch of buttons that I created that I can, maybe use a URL-based data actions to to send the user to a specific website or whatever, right? So you kind of get the use case. And then we have a bunch of formatting options that allow you to customize these layout and look and feel of these buttons. And this is coming in the second half of this year. Excuse me. And then Gantt chart. Like I said, Gantt chart is going to have I'm not showing the grammar in the screenshot for Gantt chart. This grammar is for table. That's my bad. So Gantt chart is going to have a layer-based experience, just like the overlay chart, but we only will have two layers to define the actual and the planned dates for a given task or project or for a given attribute in particular, right? So this is a hierarchical grouping of Gantt chart item. And this is making some good progress and hopefully will be out later this year. Excuse me. And then just to conclude on the future bucket, there's a lot of good features that we are adding to the product. We're expanding our scope to shareable assets within the authoring environment. One of the many such features that we are starting to work on is shared filter groups. Again, Classic has this concept of saved filters, right? That's reusable filters across multiple analysis. We will have a similar concept called shared filter groups, and that'll be tied to the the data set or subject area definition. And any user who has access to the data set or subject area and creating the workbook can get access to shared filter groups. And then shared calculations is something that we'll start to work on. New WIS types like Miko chart is currently making progress. Hopefully will come out in July. Range and org charts are items that are prioritized in our roadmap. Sorry, excuse me. And then there's also a simplified workbook authoring experience. We'll talk about this in our upcoming sessions as we get more traction on the whole experience of simplified what we call as lightweight authoring definition for users. Smart workbook experience are essentially AI-driven experiences that you will continue to see added to the product. And then on the AI side, the homepage and ask experience is going to have a new AI-backed experience. So we'll save that for a future date. Assistant will be shared in embedded mode. That's on the plan. Similarity analysis using vector-based searching is also something that we've done some good progress and will be added to the product. Semantic model support for analytics views, dataset hierarchies, a bunch of items on the data platform that we'll continue to see added to the product. So it's a quick overview of the roadmap. I'll pass it on to the next presenter. But before I pass it on, please continue to add your feedback, like Ben and Alex said. In community, the PM team is looking at all of your feedback and all the feedback that you put in community influences our roadmap and priorities. Thank you. Jack, I believe it's you.
Thanks, Avinash. That was an excellent overview of the roadmap. I know we've got a lot of questions, but we'll move forward with Jacques if you want to share your screen.
Absolutely. Can you hear me?
Yes, and
Perfect.
see your
Let me reorient my screen a little bit. Minimize that. And all right, so I thought, given that we're sort of in between March and May, but the May release is right around the corner, and there's some really meaningful updates as part of the AI assistant in the May release. So I thought I'd walk you through those and drop into the product and actually show you what this looks like, because we're at a point where we're internally using it, and it's great. Avinash alluded to this, which is huge for us because, as everybody here knows, for the last several months, it's the assistant has been limited to our larger shapes of 10 OCPUs or more. In May, we're introducing the AI assistant, or we're making it available to all shapes from 1 OCPU up. And for anyone in sort of the commercial realm, if you will, so anybody in these regions more specifically, and we'll put this in the OC1 realm. So there's lots of so it's general availability for most people, with the exception of government cloud, given that this requires OCI Gen AI services infrastructure to run. My next big update has to do with the language model that drives the assistant. We're upgrading to a far more capable language model, and this will become evident in the demo. And so with that new language model, it gives us the ability to support up to 2,000 measures and attributes per subject area or data set, which is, a huge improvement over the 150 that the assistant shipped with. In March, we introduced the ability to use the assistant on subject areas, but in my opinion, with the May update, this is where you get, a ton of additional value because of the powers of this new LLM that drives the assistant. And we've introduced a new synonyms UI in the console for the folks responsible for subject areas. They could go in there, refine synonyms, or iterate over your subject areas, make certain columns available or not available to the assistant based on your requirements. And then we've made I'll show off a couple of homepage improvements, including what we call the dataset selector, which actually came out in March, and another little surprise. So let me drop into my product here. So let me start by showing where you can find out if you have the new LLM, if you will. So in March, we introduced the ability for customers to use either the out-of-the-box, the Oracle provided language model, or if they wish, they could, register their OpenAI license to drive the AI assistant. In May, we're, like I mentioned, upgrading that to a new Gen AI based, or OCI Gen AI based language model behind the scenes. You don't have to do anything. I'm just showing you here that this is where you'll be able to see, the activity relating to your to each feature. And so this is just a console page that, if you don't want to enable the assistant, you can, of course, disable it here, and then, nobody gets to use it. But this is the administrative interface. In addition to that, I wanted to show how we've improved the search index page for subject areas. Now, for data sets, you just go into the dataset inspector and you can index your data set, or configure your data set to participate in the assistant or not. In this release, you can go into your search index and you can pick which columns you want to make. This is exactly the same interaction as you do in data sets, but oriented for your large subject areas. So here you can choose which measures you want to include as part of the assistant. You can now add synonyms, which is a long time coming capability. Um, and you can also say whether you want this index or this item to participate in the homepage search experience or not. So you can turn that on and off. One thing that we like to always point out is that if your expectation is that you go in here without thinking, you turn it on for your entire subject area, and then magic will happen, and you can start talking to your subject area, regardless of the names and organization of your metrics and attributes. I think you need to reset your expectations. This is it's really important that you refine your metadata to, be more descriptive and more useful to a language model. So if you have, something called CID, which represents customer ID, it would behoove you to, you should definitely come in here and create a synonym for your CID column saying this is customer ID. That way the language model can understand that if you're asking for a customer number, that this CID column in the subject area is the right one. So that's the first sort of caveat, that you should take this seriously. You're better to start with fewer items than, just turn it on wholesale without really giving it any thought, because you'll get unpredictable results. In addition to that, we find that over 500 columns you get diminishing returns. You of course can go all the way to 2,000 columns. This is per subject area, but ultimately, the larger the payload that we send to the language model, the more potential confusion that the language model will have with, similar terms. So just keep that in mind. It's not a perfect science. You just have to sort of work through it, try it. Then you save your synonyms, you save your columns, and then after the index is complete, you can go to your workbooks and start asking questions. For those of you who used the prior iteration of the assistant, the indexing process is much faster now. So it's measured in, less than 30 seconds, 10 seconds maybe, to sort of index your content and then make it available to the language model. So that's sort of important. So let me go ahead and actually let me start by asking a simple question on the homepage to show you some improvements on the homepage. So this is historically, I could ask a question like, show me sales and profitability by product and region. Now behind the scenes, the system on the homepage is evaluating, based on this question, which data set has the closest proximity to this question. What should I issue my query against? Historically, we picked one and that was it. And if we picked the wrong one, you were sort of like, that's. But in March, we introduced the ability for you to reorient your question to one of the other closely related data sets that could answer this question. So for example, my subject area could potentially answer this question. So by using the data set selector on the home page, I'm now targeted at this particular subject area that was indexed. Now, we all remember that this capability was somewhat limited on the homepage in terms of sort of the language behind the scenes. And one of the things that we're introducing in May, this build is in May, is that the assistant now will process your questions. So I could ask a question as vague as, show me sales and profitability by product and region since COVID in cities that have hosted the Olympics. Sort of a combination of questions and filters. And the system, using the new LLM behind the scenes, is able to determine, COVID, that was January 2020, and here's a bunch of cities that have hosted the Olympics. Again, I could reorient this to the subject area or data set that makes more sense given what I'm trying to do from an analysis perspective. So from here, I could launch into a new workbook just to show you what the assistant looks like here. So it's here on the right. It behaves exactly the same as on data sets. It's not terribly, terribly different. I can ask a question like, show me sales and profitability by product in Spanish-speaking countries. Again, I love these examples because they mix sort of public domain information with your data sets or subject areas. And one last example, I could say something like, but not Spain, and make this a pie chart. So now it's going to bring back this information for Spanish-speaking countries, but not Spain, and it made it a pie chart. And then you can go on with your conversation as the assistant supported in the past. So those are some major improvements in the new language model behind the scenes. You'll notice these little dictionary icons. This is information that the language model provided and is not based on your data set per se. And then we take that information, we sort of intersect it with your private data, and then we can issue an appropriate query. So those are the highlights. And then one last new nicety, as just one of my little things that I love seeing, is this new capability right on the homepage. We call that the inline editor, where you can change the style of the swim lane that you're looking at. It's just one of those little affordances that Avinash's team actually did that. But since I'm here, I thought I'd show it. So that covers, I believe, everything I wanted to talk about, and I'll go to the chat. I'm sure there's lots of questions and answer that and pass it to the next presenter.
Thanks, Jacques. Yes, we do have a lot of questions, some exciting things coming up for the AI assistant. We'll move forward now with Philippe. Hi, Philippe.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Jacques. This is very exciting. Can you hear me fine?
Yes.
Cool. Thank you. So, hey, thanks for everyone for your interest. I'm Philippe. I'm part of the product management team with Oracle Analytics. And so I don't think I'm sharing yet. So I'm going to use the next 10 minutes. We're a little short on time, so I'll use the next 10 minutes to talk to you about some of the upcoming features that pertain to machine learning, cognitive AI, and augmented analytics or spatial. So let me share my screen. The roadmap is a little longer than what I can afford within 10 minutes. So I will just focus on two of the features that you will see coming on your environments next month and soon after. And if I have time, I'll go also and talk about the third one. So the two in blue here, you see that slide is representing a matrix of different features for augmented AI, machine learning, or cognitive AI. And the one I want to highlight today are the video analysis, AI analysis, and at the bottom, and another one about the capability in lines, in maps. And the third one, if I have time, it'll be about leveraging the 23 AI, so database 23 AI vector capabilities. So let me start with video AI. So let me just highlight that as part of OCI, there is a AI service that is capable of analyzing video and spotting objects, recognizing objects in videos, or labeling or recognizing text in videos, and so on. So we have integrated this in Oracle Analytics, and our use cases are many about understanding, what's going on and detecting some anomalies in videos, or surveillance, or maybe asset management as well. You can see many use cases. I'll take an example for my demo where I've picked this road video, and I want to spot maybe if some different vehicles different than cars are coming by, or if the road is just being unused at some point in time. So that's my input data. And I'm going to go in a live environment. So hopefully I get the right one right there. And hang on, wrong pick, sorry. We will just simply take a data flow. So a data flow in Oracle Analytics, I'm assuming you're familiar with that capability, which is starting from a data set, video bucket here, and this data set is simply made up of a folder where I have posted all my videos. In my case, it's only one video. That's the folder where I have it. And as part of the new nodes, you will see an ability in the apply AI model to select video detection model. So this is a model that has been registered in OAC. It's an OCI video AI model that was registered in OAC by the administrator. I don't have time to show you the registration part, but it's a very simple one-step registration part. And once it's there, we can select the video model, which I have done here. And the video model simply asks us for, where are your videos? And I have already selected my bucket column in my data set just to point my data flow to the list of videos. I have one video there again, but I could have many others. And that's it. I simply tell it up to how many objects do I expect to discover by single frame of the video, and select output columns if I want some or not, but I'm going to leave everything default and show you the output. So that's it. So now if I save this data flow and run it, in my case, the video is about 20 megs. It'll run for, I think, 10 minutes or something like this. And I'll go to the output right away. So the output here is a data set, which you can see here on the left. So these are the columns that the video AI was able to extract. And if I make a table out of them, just so that you can read them a little better, this is the video file and the bucket where my video file was stored. And the system found a series of different objects, buses, cars. Let me pick something else, a truck maybe, trucks, land vehicles, and so on. So these are objects that gotten recognized in the video that I was showing you earlier on. And it tells me at what minute exactly and what second it found an object of type truck and the probability for this to be right or wrong according to the default model that we have in OCI. And then it also gives me vertices, and vertices are an ability for me to locate this on the map. So what can I do with this? As a business analyst, I can simply visualize this data over time, for instance, and spot that there were buses traveling in that route at timing 53 seconds in my video. There were trucks as well. I can do an overall aggregation and analysis of what type of vehicles have gone down that path. And I can also use a custom visualization that we have shared. And that custom visualization is simply rendering the video on the screen and using the vertices data to highlight in Oracle Analytics what type of video, what type of object was spotted. So if I look at we expect trucks and buses at second 53. So let's go to second, let's say 48 and play it. And here's the truck and here's the bus. So this is what we spotted, that's what we were looking at on the bar chart. So really the bar chart is what's of interest to me. The video here is just to prove the point that the model did a good job in spotting all of these objects. But I can now do some business analytics of objects that were spotted in my video. So that capability is coming to you in May. That is next week as part of the May update. Quickly, another quick one that will come pretty soon is an extension of map capability where, okay, here is a data set. So I'm swapping to a different type of feature now. And here's a data set about airline routes, and maybe with a little luck, we'll have some default visualization. Maybe I logged off. So this is a visualization that Auto Insight provided me with, how many lat and long points do I have in the world? And of course I can change layers and make these points and see all of this. This is a very classic visualization. Now, a new capability that we've brought in Oracle Analytics that you'll see soon on your environments is an ability to have a new layer of type dynamic line. And what that is, if I select it, it's enabling me to select another pair of lat longs and represent. That's probably bit and ambitious for me. Let me filter this down from only a few source airports. Let me take the top 5 airports by number of routes. That'll simplify it a bit. So now we're only looking at 5 sources and all the routes. So our sources are airports. Let me just format this a little finer. Let's make this be, say, much thinner. And how about we make it curved? And how about we had some directional arrows? And let's make this a different color just because it's kind of easy. And you can represent all of this in lines simply by having a starting point and an ending point. So in this case, I've used lats and longs as starting and ending, but you can also use city names or state names or whatever geographic objects you have. Of course, we can have also labels on top of this. And let me have the route as a label. And you can do all sorts of formatting to make it more friendly for your users. And as you're familiar with, this can be interactive simply, like any other viz in the dashboard or in the canvas. I could be interested in looking at Air France flights and maybe United Airlines and whatever, right? So filter this down, color this, and make the visualization the way I like it, along with adding more layers just as well. You may be familiar with this. I can pile up another layer on top of my map, a data layer in this case. Data layer means I would like to also represent my source airports as points on the map. In this case, I don't know, I have 5 airports. And I can go on like this and build a visualization with dynamic lines. Of course, if the data underneath changes, the lines will recalculate. This is a feature that is shipping in May as well in your environment, but we have enhanced it also in July, so you'll have the full capability that I'm demoing right now in July. Another capability, but I don't have time to demo it, that is also coming pretty soon, is leveraging the vector capability that now exists in Oracle database. So if I have a data set with a lot of reports, different attributes and different metrics, and let's suppose that we would like to spot one individual in this data set here, and from that individual, find out everyone else that is close to this individual according to all of the dimensions and all of the metrics that we have selected. So looking at this into a multidimensional space and finding who's the closest person or customer or patient or order or service request, what have you. There's now a capability in the data flow to vectorize the selected data that we have. And from the profile of that single person or that single individual, that single report that we have selected, calculate closest vectors in distance so that we select number of closest individual from that selected report. That leverages vector distance and vector calculation in the database, starting from our own business data. I think I'll demo this next time in the next call because I'm running out of time. I just want to leave some room for Brett as well. Thank you for your attention.
Thanks.
Brett, I think you're next, right?
Yep, and we will wrap up with Brett.
Okay, let's see. Can you guys see my screen there?
Yes.
All right. Okay, I'll just highlight a few things. I'm going to cover the first 3 and some demos, but some upcoming roadmap items I think people will be interested in. Recommended data set descriptions. Well, the first 3, I'll demo them, so I won't spend a lot of time on them. I'll talk about the bottom 3 that are going to be coming later over the summer. Change connection for a data set table. You might have seen this problem where maybe you want to point to a different connection and you can't change it. You had to re-implement the data set, which is a big problem. So that'll be an improvement that's coming. A connector for the intelligent data lake. That will be coming down the pike as well when the intelligent data lake is available to customers. And then a new one that I don't know if it was on the broader roadmap, but is we're working on being able to add subject areas directly to a data flow. In a lot of cases, you want to start from the subject area and not create an LSA as an intermediate step. Okay, let's look at a couple of the demos here. So one of them is dataset describe. This is, as you guys know, a lot of people don't create good descriptions for their assets. And so we're looking at a way to leverage AI to do that. So let's just go look at an example. So if I just do a search here and we look at these items, you'll see I have pretty typical problem here, no descriptions for these things. And two of these data sets are almost the same. So let's go see how we might fix this. I'll do a quick inspect and you'll see there's this new little button. The icon might change, but there's a new button that says use AI to suggest a description. So let's just click on that one. Now it's calling off into a language model and said this one provides location and fitness activity information. Okay, that's pretty interesting. It wouldn't be obvious to me that it was about fitness just because it said activities. I'm actually going to show you if I run it again, because it is a language model and it's probabilistic, I will likely get a slightly different answer. Now I got the same answer in this case. Sometimes you'll get a slightly different answer based on the probability there. Let's also inspect this one and see what's in this one. So I click the same one again. Let's try to click correctly. We will inspect and let's run this suggestion as well. This one has some more information about other fitness activities and also habits and performance metrics. If you look at the details, you'll see there's a lot of columns in here. So it's a pretty straightforward feature, but it can help you start to clean up what your data sets are for. And especially if you review what the LLM returns back with, if you know what the data set's for, it will give you a starting point and allow you to kind of make it better. So that's what the data set description is for. Okay, let's look at a couple other examples. Next one will be data set extract. So as you know, you can create automatic caching. A lot of people already use that. We're adding a new mode, which is extract. This is where it will the key difference between automatic caching and extract for creating a cache is that when you do automatic caching, for many sources like an Oracle database, it will fail over to a live connection if there's a problem reloading the data. In extract mode, it will use the last good extract. And if you have some issues, say your database is down or a password expires or something, it'll just use the last known good cached item. So let's kind of look at how that works in practice here. And then it has one other property that actually I'll show you as well when I show the demo here. Let's look at a workbook that has some data from just the SH sales. You'll see that in products, I am missing a column here for product category. So I set this up intentionally just to go sort of make this an interesting demo. So let's go in here and edit this data set. And I will show you where to set the extract mode, and we'll talk a little bit about how it works a little differently. So I'm just going to do it for this product table just to show how it works. Okay, my screen kind of messed up there. There we go. Sorry. I'm going to click edit definition, and you'll see right now it's set to live. So let's go ahead and add this product category field as well. And I'm going to set this, instead of automatic caching or live, I'm going to set it to extract mode. So the other thing that it does is it won't show you the metadata changes. This new column that I'm looking at won't show up until the extract is finished. That's another important difference with how this works. So I'm just going to hit OK here. And this will take us back to the normal profiling screen. I'll actually show one feature also that I don't know if people have used a lot, but it will recommend improvements to your attributes versus measures. So I'm going to go ahead and apply those because those were all categorized wrong by default. So I'm just going to save that. And you'll notice when I save it, that it will show me a little icon in the editor that it's processing. So let's try to quickly see if we can do it before it's finished. Let's go back to this one and see if we can go here. It's processing here, and I'll open up the products tables. And you'll see these are still misclassified as measures. They're really IDs. In the process, it is still running the extract. When this is finished, what's going to happen is it will refresh the metadata. And at that point, all of the data will be available. Can be handy in some cases. So for example, now it's refreshing the metadata. So it updated those measures. Say if you have a dashboard that's based on a extracted data set or a cache data set, it can be helpful because then you don't get interruptions if you're making a change and things like that in production. And so now I can just go add this category, and it works like the way you would expect. Okay, let's look at one more thing. So I have a couple more minutes. I do want to talk about extract mode on an LSA. So here's a workbook based on an LSA. And as you know, an LSA is kind of like a view over a subject area. It's this limited number of columns you're presenting to a user. Well, in some cases, you might have a subject area that is like the data is broadly available, and so your security is very granular, gross. Like you can share things with lots of users. Maybe it's a sales performance dashboard that everyone can see. And maybe you want to accelerate that dashboard to be a little bit faster for maybe an executive dashboard or something like that. So if I set it to extract mode, you'll see a new property in the way the LSA is configured, this run as property. And what this means is the extract will be created as me. And if I share that data set with someone else, I will share it with them with the data extracted as me. So it's going to wash out security. Think of it a little bit like an export of that LSA data. So I'm going to go ahead and save this again. Now this feature is available for, it's a privileged operation that you'll be able to control who can use it. And it will take a little bit of time for that to show up in FDI as they review and adopt it. So in this same case, the same kind of thing is happening. The extract is happening from the subject area at the moment. And then when it's finished, the thing you'll notice is that the report won't actually change because it'll be the same data because you're just extracting it kind of as if you were this user. The two things to remember is it does extract as a specific user. And if you schedule it, it'll run as that user. And then the other thing to note is you have to think about the grain of the data because subject areas can have data of all kinds of different grains. So you want to combine columns that make sense together. So you may need to create a few different LSAs for different scenarios based on things that you need in the report. We'll have some more documentation on that. And then I think if I have a little time, I will show one last item that was extract. I'm going to go ahead and show the data flow diagram since Avinash mentioned it. There's a new data flow diagram. This is the existing data flow diagram. I think most people are familiar with it. One of the things that we've found is it's a little clunky and it's maybe some gestures that can be more intuitive. So I'm going to turn on the new data flow diagram. And you'll see that the layout changed. This is exactly the same logic. It's just we've improved the icons. We've changed where the descriptions show up so they're easier to read. And I'll just show you a quick example of doing something like adding a join. And you'll see there's a little bit of a new UI here. I have a little thing that I can join together. When I create that join, it actually relays out the diagram. If I go back to the original view, this is the way it would have looked in the old UI. And the new UI. So the data flow functionality hasn't changed here. It's just we've improved how some things work. We'll do an example. I'll do an add a column here things. Let's try like test. I will maybe forget to apply it. Actually, I guess I didn't work the way I was expecting. So if you make an error, like let's do, if you make an error, what you'll see is the little highlight icon here instead of a normal red in the middle of the box. So just minor improvements to the UI, but it makes a more compact presentation and easier to see. And also this is a floating region that you can move back and forth more easily. In the future, we may add additional things like bird's eye view and things like that. So we're trying to make your data flow diagrams a little easier to use and interact with. I will go, and that's the end of the demos. I will go back and look at the questions and see if there's any other questions I can answer.
Thanks, Brett. That was an excellent overview. The data flow diagrams look amazing. I know we are out of time here today. So I wanted to thank you to our product management speakers. If you're still with us, I just want to launch a quick poll. Let us know how we did today. If you found these webinars useful. Again, we're going to be bringing them to you with the product roadmap releases that come out quarterly. So you can kind of stay up to date there. You'll find the recording, you'll find future webinars and the product roadmaps all on the community website. Thank you all for joining us today. And if you have any last questions, you can pop them in the chat. We'll just answer them quickly before we head out. Thanks for joining us today. And that's all we have. We'll come back in June with another session. Again, you'll find the recording on the community website and the Oracle Analytics YouTube channel. See you next time. Bye.